Hey, welcome back everybody. I'm your host, Robert Perko, and this is our episode of First Time Feast. We got a really good episode for you today. We're gonna do something a little bit fancy, but really in layman's terms, it's not that big of a deal. So we're gonna do some garlic Parmesan steak pommes frites, which really just means steak and french fries, all right? So today is actually Valentine's Day, so when you're gonna spend some time with your loved one, you can make them a really, really nice, simple, elegant dinner. And really, look at this, guys. Look at all the ingredients. There's really not a lot going on here. We have a beautiful New York prime, New York strip steak with all this wonderful fat marbling in there. We have some thyme, we have some rosemary. We got some Yukon Gold potatoes, some Parmesan cheese, some garlic, and then just your simple seasonings, okay? So really, really simple. I'm gonna show you how to do this. Today, we're gonna do this New York strip. We're gonna do a pan-seared steak. We're gonna cook this down in butter. You've seen it on all the TV shows. You've seen it in all the fancy restaurants. It's a really, really simple process, guys. Don't let it psych you out. It's really, really easy. We're also gonna knock out some Parmesan garlic fries. So some pommes frites. So with these Parmesan garlic fries, it's a really, really easy thing that you can make at home. It's really, really tasty, and it doesn't really take that much time. So we can knock this out in about 30 minutes and have you follow along. All right, let's get it. So the first thing that we're gonna do here, we need to address our potato. So the potato is gonna take a little bit of time. So when we cut down our potato, we need to let it sit in water for roughly 20 to 25 minutes. So what that's gonna do, it's gonna take all of the starches and all that extra stuff out of that potato, and it's gonna let it fry a lot faster. So I like to use these Yukon Golds. Yukon Golds, they're a really soft, luscious potato. You can use russets, you can use whatever you want, but for me, this is my preferred method. So the easiest thing what we're gonna do, we're just gonna get these guys trimmed up real quick. This doesn't take a lot of time, but we're gonna kind of cut these down into matchsticks. So the easiest thing, we're just gonna knock off the edges real quick, give it a rotation, and then we're gonna simply just cut this thing into chunks. So even strips, you wanna make it as even as possible, and then your simple slices. So look at this. This is what you're going for here. So you see how they're even, they're nice little matchsticks. So once you get these guys all broken down, use as many potatoes as you want, depending on how much you're really trying to feed here. I've cut up about 5 potatoes. It's only gonna be me and my fiance tonight, so we don't have a lot going on. So we're not gonna eat that many fries. So get these things all cut up and simply just take your bowl of water. As you can see, we already got some in here. They're getting that starch pulled out of them, and we're just gonna toss them in, and we're gonna let those go. Okay, so we're gonna fast forward a little bit of time here, and we're gonna get these up to your next step here. So we wanna make sure our oil has time to heat up. You wanna cook these fries at probably right around 300 to 350 degrees. You can do these a couple of different ways. So if you want to do these fries, as a lot of people say the best way is to do them like a confit. So what a confit is, you have a really low temperature oil, you put your fries in there, and as it brings up the heat, it's going to slowly cook and render those starches down. So it's really, really soft and fluffy. You pull them out, you let them cool, and then you fry them at a really high temperature. That's too much work. We're not gonna go that way tonight. We're gonna go the quick, we're gonna go the easy way, because I know you just got off work, you're really tired, you're not gonna mess with this. So you're gonna chop up some potatoes, you're gonna let them sit in some water, and then we're gonna fry them at 350 degrees, and they're gonna be great. Okay, we let our heat bring up. We're gonna set our wonderful presentation out of the way real quick, and we're going to grab a paper towel, everyone's best friend, and we're gonna double load this thing. We don't wanna get a lot of seepage. And we're gonna start setting out our potatoes, and we're gonna let them dry. Because if you throw wet potatoes into oil, you are gonna have a disaster with all that water and oil mixture. It's gonna be a problem for you. So we're just gonna start taking these out, and we're gonna let them start dry off. So place them, spread them out. You don't want them on top of each other. You wanna get these as spread out as you possibly can. And then we're gonna just let them, you can air dry them or you can pat them off. We're gonna go ahead and dab these off because we don't want no fire starter up in here. So we're gonna get these things all set out. Break up any ones that are stuck together, because you know there's gonna be some, and we don't want a potato clump. We want some actual fries here. So we're gonna get these all set out. Every last one. No fry left behind. You're gonna be crying later when you go to eat your fries and there's nothing left. So set our water aside, we don't need that no more. And then we're gonna finish drying these off. You don't need to season these now, you don't need to do anything crazy with these, because these are gonna get fried. Anything that you would put on them right now is just gonna get cooked away. So we're gonna dry those off, make sure everything is nice and dry here. Feel free to kind of give them a little bit of a shake. Make sure there's nothing hiding on the bottom. And one thing that you can do to test your oil, because I know we just turned this oil on, this burner does heat up really, really quick, but what we can do just to see how it goes, and this is a simple trick at home that you can do yourself, just take a part of a fry and just stick it in. There's no bubbles, there's no nothing, so we know our oil is not going to be hot enough. So let's let that go for a couple of minutes. While we're letting that oil heat up, we're just going to set these aside. We're just going to move these over here, and we can get back to the main event, right? So we can look at our steaks here. Okay, so it's starting to dance over there. Let's move our potatoes out the way. Okay, so for our steak, what you want to do, if you pull a steak straight out of the fridge and you go to sear this thing, it's going to be rock solid blue in the center. We don't want that. You want to have your steak set out for probably, again, 20-25 minutes. So by the time you cut up your potatoes and you have your steak out, your steak's going to be room temperature, your potatoes are going to be de-starched, and you're going to be ready to go. So we're going to start with seasoning this steak. The steak, man, if you throw 100 things on a steak, you ruined it already. You don't need to do that. You just need to do a pinch of salt. So we got some nice sea salt here, some rock sea salt, making it all fancy. You can do some little Salt Bay action, you know what I'm saying? Garlic powder. You can do garlic powder, you can do onion powder. I like garlic powder. Again, we don't need to do any specific measurements or anything like that. Go with your gut. You just want to give yourself a nice little coating of some garlic powder. And then really just the last thing, some coarse cracked black pepper. Okay, we got our seasonings. We want to flip the steak over, pat that in, and we want to do the exact same thing on the other side. So we're going to hit it again with our sea salt. That's pretty, man. That's going to be really, really nice. Then we're going to go with our garlic powder. That's some gorgeous steak. Look at that meat. I got that from Hy-Vee. Going down to Hy-Vee, that has some really good Valentine's Day deals. This is a New York strip prime. You can see all that fat, all that marbling in there. This is going to be a really, really good steak. I can't wait to enjoy this thing. Then lastly, we're going to hit it with our coarse black pepper. So you can let this sit really on the counter for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, as long as you want. It's going to start penetrating. That salt's going to start breaking down the fiber of the meat. It's going to start getting into the center of it. It's really going to start flavoring that meat. So that's going to sit there. We're going to let that go for a couple of minutes, let that just kind of hang out. We're going to go give our oil another little quick test. I bet you it's ready to go because I hear it popping at me. Yep, I can see the bubbles. If I'll drop this in, you can actually start seeing the bubbles form. So we're working with a small pan. We have a good amount of fries here. There's no way you want to throw all those fries in there right now. That's not going to happen. You're going to have a really bad time if you try to do that. So we're just going to do these in kind of small little batches. So for you today, guys, we're probably just going to cook enough for one, right? It's going to be a lonely Valentine's Day. You're cooking for one. So we're just going to toss these in here. You can give them a nice little drop. When you do that, try to drop it away from you. If you put it towards you, it's going to splash in your face. You're going to have a bad time. As the kids say on South Park, if you pizza instead of French fry, you're going to have a bad time. So we're going to toss these in there, let those things go. They're going to cook for probably a good 10 minutes. I mean, really? Well, maybe not 10 minutes. Probably cook for at least 8 minutes. So we're going to get those in. We're going to check back on them here in a couple of seconds. We don't want to be forgetful and burn down the house with our French fries. We're going to let those go. But what we are going to do, we're going to now start with our steak. We're going to work on the main event here. So we're doing this kind of a pan-seared steak. I like my steaks medium rare. My fiance likes her steaks a little bit closer to medium. So for this, we're just going to do a really nice hearty sear in the pan. We're going to get a nice crust on the top and the bottom of this steak, okay? We're going to toss it in the oven. Our oven's set for 400 degrees. If you're at home, put your oven on broil. Okay, so once we get it seared on top and on bottom, you're going to put it in the oven. It's going to let that internal temperature come up to temperature, and then we're going to finish it in the pan on just finish it with some nice butter and aromatics of the thyme and of the sage and of our garlic. Okay, so we're going to get our heat going over here. We're going to let that come up to temp, and then for this, you do not start with butter, right? I know you always see them pan basting it with butter. You do not start with butter. You need to literally just start with an olive oil. You want to almost get it to where the pan starts to smoke. If you see it start to smoke and it's starting to get up to heat, you want it searing hot. So we are gonna start with Putting in our olive, we got some classic olive oil here, nothing fancy. We're just gonna coat the pan. We don't need a lot. Just to coat the pan there, pull off our skillet, and we're just gonna give that a nice little wash around, right? We wanna make sure everything is evenly coated, and we're gonna put it back on the heat, let that thing come up, okay? I'm gonna crank up my heat a little bit more, and we're just gonna watch this thing. So while that's coming up, we're just gonna check on a fry or two, give this thing a little bit of a stir. This is a small working space, so there's not a lot of room in here, but they're actually starting to cook pretty dang quick. They're gonna be really, really good, guys, but we wanna probably turn our temperature down just a tiny bit, because what's gonna happen, they're gonna cook on the outside, and they're gonna be rock hard in the center. So we don't wanna do that. We're gonna cut our heat down probably about to 300 degrees, and we're gonna let that keep going just a little bit longer, okay? So while this is coming up, as you can see, if you can get in close on that, pan's starting to smoke. So that tells me this guy's gonna be perfect. So we're gonna wanna get our tongs ready to go, because we're gonna need to be flipping this steak here. So we are going to set this thing in, and you're gonna listen to this thing sizzle. Watch this. Oh, that's perfect. Absolutely perfect. So we got that guy going in our pan. We're gonna get our next step ready, because we're gonna be pulling these fries out of here any second. So we wanna get these fries pulled out. We're gonna have our bowl ready, because we're gonna be making that Parmesan garlic. Really, really tasty, really, really easy. So we're gonna let this thing start working its action, working its magic. Put that in. So just like that, I almost did a rookie mistake. I almost pulled that steak up right out the gate, but we don't wanna do that. You don't wanna lift it before it's ready, because if you do that, it doesn't let that crust settle. So we really wanna get that nice crust forming on the bottom of the steak. You'll know, you really only need about 2 minutes on each side, okay? We've been going for about 60 seconds, so we're really, really close. We're really, really close to being able to pull this steak. Fries, fry check. Some of them are pretty close. There's a couple of them that are really golden, so we're gonna give this a quick stir. These are looking really good, guys. I don't know if you can see that. I'll lift them up here for you. Oh man, those are looking perfect. All right, this has been going. I can smell that steak starting to cook. Let's give it a quick little check. Nope, still not ready, which is good. She's angry. Perfect. That's going good. Let's pull our fries out, so we don't want these fries to get out of hand here. Look at these. These are looking wonderful. We got some really crispy taters, guys. Really crispy. If you have like a metal slotted spoon, those are probably the ideal tool for this job. But we have a little wooden one, and it will work just fine. Some of these potatoes, they were a little bit greener than the others, so that's why they're looking a little bit on the pale side. But they're gonna taste just as good. The steak, we're looking pretty good. We need a little bit longer on this side. Turn my heat back up just a smidge now that we can focus solely back on our steak again. So with these, we're just gonna give them a nice little, while they're nice and hot with that oil, give them a nice coating of some salt. We're gonna hit it with the rest of this garlic, and we're gonna hit it with some parsley. And because we're not all that fancy, we're gonna hit this with some Parmesan grated. I do have some real Parmesan that we're gonna finish this with. We're gonna toss that right there and just give that a nice little mix, guys. We're gonna finish these up here in just a second. All right, now let's get this thing flipped. Now that's what I'm talking about. Look at that crust. If you can get in close on that steak, there's just a wonderful aroma coming off this, like that just warm, meaty, unctuous, yummy flavor. And you can see that crust from all of our seasonings and the way that that steak cooked down in the pan. Right now, if you pull this thing off, you've looked at the top, it looks like it's pretty much done. It's not even close. So we gotta still sear the bottom of it, and then we're gonna toss this into our oven, and we're gonna finish it there in the oven there. So we're gonna clear off our spot for some taters. We're gonna dial our heat down. We're gonna get Pan ready for the oven. All right. This steak smells so freaking good, guys. I can't wait to dig into this thing. So we got some cheese that we're gonna grate for our fries. Let's check on this other side. Let's see how she's doing. That'll just about do. So we're gonna turn this down. We're gonna pull this off. And so one nice little method that you can do. So if you touch this steak, she's definitely on the rare side right now. So if you take your hand and you clench a fist and you press right there on your pad there, that texture is gonna match this texture, right? That's gonna be a medium rare. If you want rare, you go for this side of the little knuckle there, right? And if you want well done, you can get out, because we don't even want to talk about that. That's not what we're doing here. So we're gonna cook this steak now for about another probably 4 minutes in this broiler. So this thing has been up to heat. We're sitting at 450 degrees. She's screaming hot. We're gonna open her up. But you know what? Yeah, we're gonna open her up and we're gonna toss her in. We're gonna let her finish a little bit there in the oven, and now we can look back on our fries. So what we had going on earlier, we already got these tossed, and they look pretty dang good already. So let me dump some of these guys out here. As you can see, look at that. That is just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. We had to get a little quick little taste test. What else do you want, right? What else do you want? Nothing. That's perfect. They are already really, really good. But you want to add a little bit more, zing and pep to them. Take your real Parmesan and grate some of this real Parmesan over them. Look at that. Look at that. Now those are some freaking great. Those are some beautiful, beautiful pomme frites. So let's look at here. You can set this out of the way, clear out our station, and we can't forget our garlic. So what we have going on over here now, we're gonna get our aromatics ready. So while this steak is cooking in the oven, make sure we're still on. Yep, we're still on. We're gonna get some garlic. These garlic are, as you can see, they're ready to grow. We can pop these right here in our garden, and we can have some new garlic here in no time. Okay, so we're just gonna do 2 cloves, and we're gonna get these ready for the skillet. So we're just gonna give them a quick little pop. All right, and we're gonna break off the peel. We're not gonna be really cutting these, so what we are gonna do, we're gonna trim, give it a little bit of a haircut. We don't need this green onion part, but if we wanted a little bit of a green onion garnish, I mean, go ahead, knock yourself out. So give this guy a little bit of a haircut, trim that off. Our steak is getting close. We're probably right at the rare marker, which we want to pull him here pretty soon, because when we finish this in the skillet, we're going to bring it up to temp even more. So we're going to go ahead and toss in our garlic cloves. We're going to toss in our thyme and our rosemary. Get that guy in there, and then we're going to go ahead and hit this with a knob. We'll call it a knob of butter. It's more like a quarter stick of butter, but hey, who's watching right now? We'll toss that guy in there, and we will use this. I'll let our butter start cooking down, and let's check on our steak. All right, steak is looking gorgeous. As always, pull him out of here and then give it a test. Yeah, we're still rocking that medium, or sorry, that rare, which is perfectly fine. Give him a little swashbuckle, get that thing all moved around, and now we're gonna go in with our steak. Oh man, this is gonna be good, guys. In with the steak. Get my little, and where did my spoon go? Here we are. Woo, don't like that, screaming like a banshee. So trick with this, guys. So steak's obviously in, we're cooking down the steak. We got our aromatics in there. We got our garlic in there. That's all gonna start cooking down. It's gonna be really, really flavorful. You don't wanna eat any of the green stuff, but that toasted garlic is really, really good. One of my favorite, I like to toss in 5 or 6 cloves of garlic, let those things cook down. One thing that you can do, I don't know if you make any compote butter. So compote butter is basically just take your thyme, your rosemary, your sage, your garlic, chop it all up into really fine pieces, take your stick of butter, mash it all up, throw that all in there, roll it into a circle, throw that thing in the fridge, and then when you're ready to cook something like this, you go ahead and just toss it on. Really, really fancy. But garlic, you can go ahead and cook that pre-batches. You can cook that in the oven on oil, with oil, let that render down. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. But now back to the steak. So what we're gonna do, we are gonna tip the steak towards you, right? You're gonna bring all this wonderful, glorious butter towards you, and then you're literally just gonna pick it up and you're gonna ladle it on, okay? Let's keep ladling it over that steak. And what this is gonna do, that oil or that butter is really, really hot, and it's literally butter frying that steak, and it's seasoning it with all of this wonderful, delicious flavor, and it's helping cook it up too. So it's adding all that wonderful flavor, it's giving it a nice crust, it's just adding all that ooey gooey, wonderful deliciousness. So we'll just keep ladling this on here for a couple of minutes, and then we're gonna be ready to serve and have ourselves a wonderful Valentine's Day. What do you guys think about that? All right, guys, looking at this steak, we are just about wrapped up. So what we wanna do, we wanna pull this steak, and we're gonna wanna let it rest for about 5 minutes before you cut into it. You cut into it right now, it's just not gonna be set up. Steak needs to set up, it needs to have time to rest so it can really just deliver what it's supposed to do. So we're gonna pull this off, and then we're gonna do a nice little treat, right? I'm gonna show you guys how to make your very own garlic aioli. So we're gonna peel this guy off here. We're gonna set this nicely down next to our pommes frites. Just look at how gorgeous that looks, guys. That is beautiful, 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 beautiful. Okay, we can even finish that with just a little bit of, finish it with that. And we can't go without our finishing sea salt. Perfection. That is perfection. But it's not quite. We gotta, if we really wanna make this delicious, we got one last thing that we can do. Let's make our garlic aioli to go with our garlic fries, okay? You hear that term garlic aioli and you probably freak out. You're like, whoa, aioli, what's this guy talking about? Aioli is basically just a silly word for mayonnaise. We're gonna do a garlic aioli. It sounds complicated, but I bet you we can make this garlic aioli in about 60 seconds, okay? So I have what's called an emulsion blender. You can get one at Costco, you can get one at Walmart. They're really not that expensive. They're 60, 70 bucks. They are worth the investment. It comes with this little handy dandy little emulsion cup. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take 2 eggs and we're gonna separate out the egg yolk. It's okay if you break the yolk, not that big of a deal, but we wanna toss in our egg. We need 1 more egg. And we're gonna go separate out the yolk, grab the yolk, boom, we got our two eggs in there. We are going to do a nice little zest of lemon. Okay. Nice little zest of lemon, and then not only are we going to zest the lemon, we are going to get a little bit of, not a lot, but a little bit of lemon juice. Okay, we got some lemon juice. We're going to hit this with 1 clove of garlic. Peel this guy off real quick. So you can chop this up ahead of time, or you can straight up just toss it in because you have your emulsion blender. I'm just gonna break it down into smaller pieces. We don't need to go all the way crazy with it. Toss that guy in there. We're gonna hit it with a little bit of pepper, and then we're gonna hit it with a little bit of salt. Okay, and now what we're gonna do, we're gonna start using our emulsion blender. Okay, watch this, we're gonna start going. We're gonna get that going. Just breaking down that garlic. And then while that's going down there, we have, set this down for 1 split second. We have some garlic flavored olive oil that we're gonna use. So this garlic flavored olive oil is really gonna help. You're really supposed to use a tepid or a bland olive oil, but we're gonna use this one today. So we're gonna toss this in, we're gonna let it go, and we're just gonna start adding this until we get the right consistency. This is what really turns this into an aioli. Start going with that. We're starting to get that texture, starting to look like that mayo, right? We got about another 20 seconds left of blending this. And that should be absolutely perfect, guys, so watch this. Boom. So if that doesn't give you an absolute happy Valentine's Day, I don't know what will, guys. So thank you, as always, for watching First Time Feasts. To check me out online, I have a YouTube profile, link down below. Check me out. I got all kinds of content. I'll show you how to make some really cool stuff. Thanks for watching.